the winners round of 16 matchup here tonight on the Super Smash TV 7th annual tournament here on GG Speedruns. Tonight's matchup featuring Tele01 and Firebroth. Hi everyone, I'm LOZ Cards Fan 23. It's good to be back here on GG Speedruns for another exciting season of the Super Smash TV Easy Percent Tournament. And joining me is last year's bronze medalist, Aquas. It's great to have you here in the commentators booth with us. And we have a very intriguing matchup here tonight.
Yeah, that's right. Tele01 versus Firebroth. Guys are actually pretty divided on the seeding. Firebroth's PB kind of back there in the 550 range, I think.
Yep.
Telio's earlier, but Firebroth already brought us a bit of a mini upset with his win over Sigma Fan before this.
Yeah, it took Sigma Fan the distance in his last matchup, winning it 3-2 to get here into the winners round of 16. Telio had no problem beating the 28th seed Dakota. It was a sweep, 3-0, but this might not be a sweep for Telio. Heck, this might not even be a win for Telio because Firebroth is definitely capable of putting up some good times in this tournament. So I can't wait to see what these two runners will bring.
Oh yeah, this could go either way for sure. And both without, oh, there we go. Firebroth with an orb.
All right, so Firebroth is the first one to pick up an orb, also has a Razor Shield to complement that orb, would now like to get some rockets, which is what Telio now has. That's going to help negate that orb that he currently is not sporting. Late spreader there for Firebroth. He can use that to finish up the room and to take with him into Eat My Shrapnel. We are dead even to practically the frame, Aquas.
Oh, man. That's always nice.
All right, so it is Eat My Shrapnel. There are 18 of the Mr. Shrapnel dudes that you have to take down. A maximum of 4 can be on the screen at any given point. Now, with the help of the orb, that should be pretty easy for Firebroth, even if he doesn't have weapons to help him with. Telio needs to see some weapons to keep pace, because once you have that 4th Mr. Shrapnel on the screen, you start to bleed time, and right as I say that, Telio gets the good fortune of an orb drop here.
Yeah, it looks like we got ourselves a race here.
Oh, definitely. But Firebroth, though, does have the rockets to finish the room, but Firebroth didn't recognize that that was the last Mr. Shrapnel, and that's going to give Telio just a slight edge going into Total Carnage. And the very first drop is a Razor Shield. That's the best drop that you want, because you want to keep control of the middle to get the maximum firing lanes as possible.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys with the Razor like to use it primarily on the bottom door and then focus on the other 3 doors. At least that's what I like to do, because you can't see those guys on the bottom door as well because there's a bit of an overhang, and that's just something you end up taking into consideration as you play more and more.
Definitely. Aquas, and Telio does get a Razor Shield of his own, following that up with a spreader. Firebroth getting a foot to increase his speed, which lasts a limited amount of time. There's the Vitamin R for Tele01, which may give him the edge, but that was a good nuke there at 259 into the bonus room for Firebroth. Right behind with a 302 is Telio. Just a 3-second difference going into the bonus room.
Firebroth appeared visibly pleased by his entry, under 3-minute entry there in the webcam.
Now, there is one advantage that Telio is going to have going into tank troubles, that he does have half a clip of weapon, which I think might be rockets, which will help him take out the gunners. Firebroth's going to need to have a good opening drop. That is not a good opening drop there for Firebroth, so definitely a clear advantage for Telio. Both of the gunners are down. Firebroth working on that second gunner, is able to take it down. But Telio, I would imagine, is going to take the lead if he can keep that orb healthy. But a nice nuke there for Firebroth, give him a little bit of breather and take control of the middle again. But Telio, since having those rockets, he's really got nothing. This is what I like to call the TTTT, the 4 T's, typical tank trouble trash.
Oh yeah, I mean, that beginning of the room is the most dangerous part. They've stabilized, but the room usually just gives you the trash, like you say.
Yeah, there's really not been any weapons for either players here in tank trouble. That's what you typically see, and you really see that a lot on a PB pace run here, as Telio and Firebroth, but it is going to be Telio with the shrapnel. Yep, the shrapnel is going to cost Firebroth a little bit of time, but he's only 3 seconds back. That's not even one empty drop, Aquas. This is anybody's game right now.
Yeah, this is really setting the tone for this race. Let's see what kind of drops we get here.
A good opener there for Teleo because he can use the rockets to take down the gunners, and he does get the ball buster as well, so the pressure's going to be on Firebroth. He also nails the ball buster and was able to dodge the swirl as well and get some lobbers here. So right now the weapons at the moment favoring Firebroth, but then gets a spreader on the feet. I don't think he wanted to pick that up. He was going to try to take the intentional, so he's going to switch it up, go for the more consistent damage. Now, the sweet spot is right around that collar, that brown area right below the head of Mutoid Man. They are very, very close. They're both on the same form.
Oh, the classic Teleo death, but it's parked over.
Oh, man, and he is not going to be able to get that spreader. Oh, the classic troll job that Trolltoid Man likes to do. And same thing happened with Firebroth, not able to get the lobbers, and they're both going to have to settle for grenades. Grenades does the most damage per second. You get the highest DPS with that, and they are literally tied.
Still tied.
Teleo and you yourself know a thing or two about close matches like this.
Oh man. Okay, they're just both pretty much same type of drops.
Yeah, not the best kind of drops, but it is Teleo that is sporting a very slight lead. That lead might grow a little bit. Firebroth needs to see a spreader here if he wants to steal this one away from Teleo. Final form now for Teleo. And grenades, a good drop to have in the final form with the best DPS. The worst weapon, by the way, which is the best weapon any other time, is the spreader. Final form now for Firebroth, but it might be too low. Speaking of too late, not only is it too late for him, it was too late for that spreader as well. So Tele01 is going to draw first blood in this best of 5 series.
I think it was a grenade, and a full grenade and a full spreader is what killed the final form there for Teleo, and that was more than enough.
Absolutely, and Firebroth, you know, didn't really do anything wrong. He just, Teleo had the slightly better quality of weapon drop. It's going to be about a 15-second difference between the two. Yes, 638 plays 623. A great first opening match between Tele01 and Firebroth, but it is Teleo who will take that 1-0 lead.
It was really that lobber drop at the end for Teleo that won him that. He got some perfect lineups there and pretty much hit with the full lobber, and that brought him ahead like, yeah, good 15 seconds, just like that.
Yeah, Aquas, it's one thing to get the drops, but to enable to land all of your lobbers there like that, that could be difficult to do because, especially if you're trying to do those bank shots, because if you're missing a lot of lobber shots, you're not really taking advantage of what the game is giving you, and that can enable your opponent to sneak in and steal a win, but that didn't happen with Teleo. He made good, efficient use of the firearms that he was given, and he does have that 1-0 lead, but if what we just saw in game number 1 is a sign of things to come in this match, I would be shocked if this is a sweep.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. That was pretty close, and from what I could tell, there was no glaring mistakes on either side. So
no,
that was just the game being the game.
Absolutely. I didn't really see anything wrong from either player. They both played a clean game. Neither of them dropped the orb at any time. It's just, I think Teleo just got the very edge of on the quality of weapon drops, but otherwise practically an even ball game, and we hope to see that in game number 2 as we are underway between Teleo and Firebroth. Let's see if Firebroth can equalize.
Yeah, I really like that solid play. That's what you gotta do to beat Teleo here on Firebroth's end, because Teleo's gonna be more expected to have that solid play here.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I expect that Firebroth is probably going to go a little bit more aggressive, but you don't want to get too aggressive that you start to press, and then you start to make these dumb mistakes, and that's how you lose a lot of time here, as Teleo is going to have quite the hole shot here. He's got a 38 going into collect powers. Firebroth, though, is going to have about a 43, so about 4.5 second lead already for Teleo, but let's see what kind of drops we get.
I mean, that can be pretty significant here, especially in this room where there's going to be up to 15 seconds of variance depending on the drops and collect power-ups alone. Teleo is awarded an orb. Firebroth the Razor.
Second drop orb, followed up with the razor shield for both, rockets for Firebroth. Telio almost got the trinity, as I like to say, when you get the orb, the razor shield, and the rockets in back-to-back-to-back drops. Firebroth, those rockets are going to keep him afloat when you don't have the orb, but Telio is going to have a 79 going into Eat My Shrapnel. Firebroth, because he had better quality of weapons, actually gained a couple of seconds on Telio. He's down to only a 3-second deficit, but he needs to see that orb soon.
Yep, he's just running around with the grenades, destroying the shrapnel with them. That's the most efficient thing to do there. Telio gonna hold it down. And just hoping for that orb on Firebroth's side.
Well, the rockets will help him finish off the foot soldiers and whatever shrapnels are left here in Eat My Shrapnel. But yeah, time is a ticking on seeing that orb here. As Telio, nope, he thought that was the end of the room. Nope, you had one more left to go. That's going to be a 2:02. Firebroth with a 2:05. It's about a 2.5-second lead for Telio, but that lead, and Firebroth,
there we go.
Just what the doctor ordered, Aquas. An opening orb here in Total Carnage. Firebroth needed that to keep pace.
Oh no.
A careless mistake there. Swung that orb right into the purple dude and losing that orb. And now he's got to rely on the game to either give him a replacement or weapons to keep flowing, or he could be down by double digits.
Oh boy, he sees the key and then he sees a bat to the face.
Oh,
tragic.
Man. Yeah, you hate to see it, Aquas. Firebroth now, he's going to be definitely double digits back after taking that death here in Total Carnage. And the game is doing him no favors. It's been key after key. Telio getting a key of his own. Does get a replacement orb, but the damage is already done. Look at that. Telio with a 256 into the bonus room.
Yep, Telio held it down completely. Firebroth just picking up the sticks.
Nah, it's definitely not over by any stretch of the imagination. He can definitely bring this back depending on what happens in tank trouble, but he's going to be about 20 seconds back. Yeah, 20 seconds back with the 316 going into the bonus room. Neither player has any weapon to take with them to tank trouble, so let's see what kind of opening drop Telio gets. It's a foot, nothing to write home about.
Yep, so the beginning of this tank trouble room, pretty important. And Telio gets the rocket, and then he's going to scramble to stabilize, and he'll be set now. For the most part, just gotta destroy those tanks as soon as they appear.
He is gonna grab the grenades. I was just about to say, Aquas, how did he avoid those grenades on the feet right there? But Firebroth gets opening rockets himself to at least keep himself afloat, but he needs to keep this orb this entire time to avoid losing any significant time against Telio, because Telio is doing a solid job in this room.
Yeah, I'd say, no more mistakes allowed on Firebroth's end.
That razor shield followed up by the rockets, that's going to help him a lot.
Okay, rockets are great. Oh.
Sabotage, the grenades on the feet. Telio is going to get a 413 going into the Mutoid Man fight. Firebroth doing a great job. He's got that razor shield, so he's able to keep control of the middle here, and he's not taking any damage. And indeed, he's actually going to gain some time back on Telio. It is a 4:30, so he's cut it to 17 seconds, and Telio does not get the ball buster.
17 seconds, you say?
Yep.
Okay, this is still doable for Firebroth.
Telio is going to use as much of that lobber as he can before going for the spreaders, and now he's going to hope for an invulnerability to go with that spreader. Instead, it's another lobber. Lobber's now for Firebroth. I didn't see if he got the ball buster or not.
I missed it.
All right, but in any event, there's the
Oh.
spreader. Telio taking the Telio death, and he's rewarded with that spreader, but they get sabotaged with the lobber on the feet. So it is still about a 1 full form lead for Telio. So I don't think Firebroth got the ball buster there. Yeah, he definitely did not. And already we see the rib cage exposed. That lead is growing now for Telio again. He needs a spreader to Firebroth. He's trying to do the same thing. He's hoping for a spreader, and it's an invulnerability.
Uh-oh. Looking grim for Firebroth.
Yeah, it's looking very dire. He needs a spreader right now, and he is not getting it. An empty drop, though, for Telio, so this means, well, and then another empty drop for Telio. My goodness, now we're seeing the full brunt of what RNG can do here in this fight for both runners, but Firebroth running out of time. He needs a spreader now.
Game is just saying no to Firebroth here. Plenty of drops. no spreaders to be found.
Yeah, final form, Teleo with these lobbers, missing some shots here. He might have to change it up to these rockets here because he's missing a lot of shots. And indeed, there's the spreader, but it was right on his feet and he could not react to it. But it's irrelevant because Tele01 is going to take a 2-0 lead in this best-of-5 match in the winners round of 16. A very solid performance there for Teleo. There's the spreader for Firebroth, but it's too late. Teleo, 2-0 up in this match.
Yep, yeah, I mean, solid on Teleo's part. I mean, he got a few lobbers there at the end, and he just kept that solid damage the whole time for the most part.
Definitely, and yeah, the difference between game number 1 and game number 2 was the Arena 1 play. I mean, Firebroth is going to finish this under 7 minutes, so again, Teleo with the better Mutoid Man fight, but what really hurt Firebroth was total carnage. He dropped the orb, took a death, and ended up losing by about 35 seconds. So Firebroth gonna have to reverse sweep this one if he wants to make it into the winners quarterfinals.
Yeah, this is looking tough. I mean, based off how that went, I'd like to see Firebroth have a game like he did the first one.
Oh, definitely, Aquas, and we know he is capable of putting up a performance like that. You know, he's done it many times. He is a savvy veteran of the Super Smash TV tournament. But Tele01 in the top 5 in easy percent for a reason. I mean, you have faced him again before, and you know how tough he is. He will not go down easily.
Yeah, definitely not. He's one of the guys that has had some of the fastest mutoids ever. I think it was the one he had that one time. I don't know, but he's one of those guys that has had the crazy mutoids.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he have like a 64-second Mutoid Man fight once?
Yeah, something like that. Just completely ridiculous.
All right, here we go. Game number 3, a must-win here for Firebroth if he wants to keep his hopes of making it to the winners quarterfinals alive. And let's get going here. Arena 1, both of them should have their Razor Shield manipulation, which they do. We'll see if Firebroth can get off to a better start because he actually had a rough opener, before the bad things happened to him in Total Carnage. Let's see if he can have a better Arena 1 room.
Okay, yeah. Firebroth kind of had a couple stragglers there, and I think that pulled him back a couple seconds here.
There's a slightly better one. It was a 40 for Tele01, so he's not gonna be happy about that time. A 42 for Firebroth, so it's only 2 seconds this time around. Let's see what the opening drop is gonna be. It's a invulnerability for Teleo. Firebroth, on the other hand, is going to get a foot, so nothing to write home about for either runners. But there's a Razor Shield for Teleo.
Okay, orb drop where Firebroth and what happened to be around in the corner, and so he's gonna kind of even up a little bit here with that orb play.
Definitely had to fight for that orb. It was not in the best position in the world, and those foot soldiers were continuing to swarm him, and that's going to allow Teleo to keep his lead with a 122. In fact, that lead is going to grow. Just better firing lanes from Teleo. 127 for Firebroth, but more importantly, he does have the orb. But as I say that, it's a good orb for Tele01 here to start Eat My Shrapnel, and that's going to at least keep him afloat and maintain that lead.
Indeed, indeed. Both are looking fine here. Did have 4 shrapnel on Teleo's side at the beginning for a couple seconds, so I might see a little bit trail on that, but...
Yep, and these rockets will help finish off the room for Firebroth. Teleo is finished with a 206 going into Total Carnage. The end of the room for Firebroth, it's a 211, so we still have that 5-second deficit, but rockets to start the room for Firebroth, and an opening Razor Shield, just like in game number 1 for Firebroth.
And this time, yeah, Fire's got the Razor Shield. That's going to help him maintain the orb here, and hopefully for the full room this time. We need him to stay solid here.
that spreader is a trap because of that razor shield. He won't be able to reach it, but there is a razor shield now for Tele01, plus the rockets. He had a little bit of clip left over. Now rockets for Firebroth. This will help him at least even things out. So I'd say we're probably going to look at that same about 5-second deficit going to the bonus room if this holds.
Oh, those are some great rockets from Firebroth, just taking out chunks of dudes at a time, and at a time when there weren't other enemies by the other doors. It's really what you want to see with those rockets. And he catches up.
303 plays 305. We're talking about a second and a half going to the bonus room. It's time for Taco Bell. Taco Bell. Product placement with Taco Bell. Yes, indeed. It's the closest race that we have had going to the bonus room up to this point. It's just a second and a half. Firebroth has about a third of a clip of spreader left to go. It's not really going to help him too much in terms of the gunners, but he might be able to get some of the foot soldiers here. That nuke will definitely give him a little bit of a breather, taking down one of the wallers. He is going to grab the grenades. I don't know if he meant to do that, but...
Tele01 just weaving the haystack.
Wow, how he did not lose that orb. That was some unbelievably sick maneuvers Tele01 just made there to keep that orb nice and healthy. And Firebroth not going to be able to get to those rockets, just not in a good position. He did not want to put his orb at risk.
Tele01 holds down the orb, but did have to fly around, move around like a chicken with his head cut off. So that's not optimal for the room, but...
Firebroth, I think, took a death. He lost his orb, so that means Tele01 is going to retain that lead. The rockets are going to keep Firebroth afloat. It's a 420, and indeed, didn't lose that much time.
Here we go.
427, that's one empty drop, but Tele01 will have the advantage of having the ball buster opportunity.
The orb kind of helps with the other weapons, but he's going to go for that ball buster. Gets it.
Yes, he did. So already that's about 42% of a form advantage there that he's going to have on Firebroth. However, Tele01 is not seeing any weapons, and he's going to take the classic Tele01 death. It's going to be a lobber.
Okay, yeah, these lobbers are going to set him up good here for a bit. Lobber with Firebroth. Firebroth needs to make this lobber count a bit.
Spreader, but Tele01's gonna have to go for the manuals here. Not really getting too many. Gets a couple of in there, and he's gonna switch it up for the more consistent damaging lobbers. More lobbers are waiting for him. Hey, a spreader that's in your position, Aquas.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be a manual. And
he got quite a bit there. He got quite a bit. He's getting more manuals here. He's keeping himself afloat.
He needed that. He needs a spreader here. Come on.
Yeah, if he can get a spreader here, it's grenades.
Tele01 with more lobbers. He's gonna try to cement this victory here.
Yeah, he's got about a full form lead. Firebroth needs a spreader desperately right now. He needs it. He needs it right now. It's a lobber. I mean, that's consistent damage. An empty drop though for Tele01. That is going to delay him a little bit. He's taking the death. It ends up being a grenade. Final form for Tele01. Firebroth needs a spreader now.
Spreader. No,
it's
the other blue item.
Yeah, and Tele01 has lobbers, which he can use to finish off this fight, but he's going to switch it up with the faster DPS. Final form, again, he gets the spreader right as the form changes, and that is game, set, and match. Tele01 completes the sweep, and he is moving on to the winners' quarterfinals.
Yep, congratulations to Tele01 there. 622 finish, not too shabby at all. But man, he just outplayed Firebroth, I'd say there.
Definitely did in games 2 and 3. They were pretty even in game number 1, but Tele01 outplayed Firebroth in the arenas both in games 2 and 3. It'll be a 642 for Firebroth, so a difference of 20 seconds. But yep, Tele01, he played more consistently, but he also had better RNG against Mutoid Man in all 3 fights.